Simply Explained. Words Matter. A 5-part series for quick learning on the go, or a lesson to put you to sleep. Words Matter Episode 1. The Power of Words and Word Placement in Shaping Thought. Language is not simply a means of communication. It is a tool of influence. The words people choose and the order in which they place them can shape perceptions, stir emotions, and guide behavior. From advertisements and political speeches to news headlines and casual conversations, wording and word placement are used intentionally to affect how others think and respond. Understanding how language operates in this way reveals just how easily our thoughts can be directed by subtle linguistic choices. One of the most effective ways wording influences thought is through framing, the act of presenting information in a way that highlights certain aspects while downplaying others. People's interpretations often depend less on the facts themselves and more on how those facts are described. For example, a hospital might say a surgery has a 90% success rate rather than a 10% failure rate. Both statements communicate the same information, but the first evokes optimism, while the second provokes worry. This difference in framing shapes the emotional response of the listener and, ultimately, their decision-making. Political and media language often relies on this technique, describing a military action as a peacekeeping mission rather than an invasion can drastically alter public perception. The power of framing lies in its ability to make one viewpoint appear natural, while making alternatives seem unreasonable. Word placement also plays a vital role in influencing how people interpret meaning. In English and many other languages, readers and listeners pay the most attention to words at the beginning and end of sentences or paragraphs. Communicators use this pattern strategically to emphasize what they want remembered. For instance, in an advertisement, placing a brand's name or slogan at the end of a message ensures it lingers in the consumer's mind. Politicians and speechwriters often arrange sentences to put emotionally charged or value-laden words in prominent positions, guiding audiences toward a specific reaction. Even in news headlines, word order determines perception. Police shoot man wielding knife sounds very different from man with knife shot by police, though the same event is being described. The difference in structure subtly shifts the focus of blame and sympathy. Word choice, the selection of particular terms, further affects how people think about complex social, political, and ethical issues. Certain phrases carry emotional or moral undertones that steer public opinion. For example, calling a policy tax relief suggests that taxes are a painful burden, while referring to them as public contributions emphasizes community responsibility. Similarly, the terms pro-life and pro-choice frame the abortion debate in ways that appeal to moral values rather than neutral reasoning. These choices are not accidental. They are deliberate attempts to define the terms of discussion and influence how people feel before they even begin to think critically about the issue. Through word choice, language becomes a powerful instrument of persuasion, capable of shaping the boundaries of what people consider right, wrong, or possible. Another dimension of linguistic influence comes from repetition and rhythm. Repeating a message increases its familiarity, and familiarity often leads to acceptance, a psychological process known as the illusory truth effect. This is why slogans, brand names, and political catchphrases are repeated so often. Just do it, make America great again, or yes we can. Over time, these phrases gain emotional power and credibility simply because they are heard repeatedly. The human brain is naturally drawn to patterns and familiar sounds, so the rhythm and repetition of certain phrases make them more persuasive and memorable. In advertising and propaganda alike, repetition turns words into symbols of identity, emotion, and belief. Ultimately, wording and word placement matter because language shapes thought. Words are not neutral containers of meaning. They structure how people see the world and what they believe about it. The same event can appear hopeful or threatening, moral or immoral, depending on how it is described. Skilled communicators understand this and use it to their advantage, guiding perception through subtle linguistic choices. For this reason, developing language awareness is an essential part of critical thinking. When people learn to notice framing, emotional language, and manipulation through word placement, they become less susceptible to persuasion and more capable of forming independent judgments. In conclusion, the words we hear and read every day are not mere tools for sharing information. They are instruments of influence. Through deliberate wording and strategic placement, communicators can shape emotions, beliefs, and decisions without the audience realizing it. Recognizing how language works beneath the surface empowers individuals to think more clearly, question more deeply, and resist manipulation. In a world saturated with messages competing for attention, understanding the power of words is not just a skill, it is a form of protection. Thanks for listening. Remember, what you let into your world affects what comes out of your world. Pay attention to what you see and understand what you are doing. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.